Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video. And in this video, I'll be profiling an article from Vice.com titled, "The Doomsday Clock is now the closest it's ever been to Armageddon." The Doomsday Clock has been in stasis since 2020. And what did Apostle Tahar deem 2020 to be the year of? The year of many prophecies being fulfilled, roughly paraphrasing. And everybody remembers that 2020 was a year to remember. And now being in 2023, Apostle Tahar has deemed this year to be the hopeful year that all prophecies are fulfilled. And one of the major prophecies in the scriptures that has yet to come to pass is nuclear destruction. And hey, Abaratazah 2023 is the year that all prophecies are fulfilled. And Yahushai Hamashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, makes his second coming to save the elect of the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel consisting of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and put an end to the rulership of these heathen nations, chiefly of the biblical Edomites, who are known as these so-called white people today. But hey, whether it's 2023 or not, the fact that information like this is coming out, that the Doomsday Clock, which calculates how close humanity is to major catastrophes, is 90 seconds to midnight, just goes to show how close we are to these prophecies coming to their fulfillment, how close we are to our salvation from under the foot of these heathens. The Doomsday Clock, a metaphorical measure of how close humanity is to ultimate destruction, is now set at 90 seconds to midnight. And hey, humanity is not going to be completely destroyed when these nuclear missiles are shot to the ends of the earth during World War III. Hey, many people will survive, but the nuclear destruction and Yahushai's second coming marks the end of Esau Edom's rulership. So, in a sense, the Doomsday Clock, hey, it's measuring how close we are to the end of Esau Edom's rulership before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven under the children of Israel. This is Job chapter 14, verse 5. "Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass." And with all these major end times prophecies, hey, coming to their fulfillment, and us literally seeing the end of Esau Edom's rulership, what does that mean? He's just about reached those bounds which he cannot pass before the Edomites and these other heathen nations are taken out of power and the children of Israel are set back into power. And again, one of the major indicators to show that Esau Edom's rulership is almost up is the nuclear destruction, which is going to take place after the mandatory implementation of the MARKOFTHEBEAST in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18, which is the RFID/NFC MICROCHIPIMPLANT. And what are we hearing about in the mainstream news now? CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, a digital cashless society, Amazon stores, hey, places like Whole Foods having Amazon One, where you wave your hand over a sensor and it traces your payment and makes your payment. Hey, cashierless stores coming, etc., etc. The infrastructure is being set up for the implementation of the C-HIP implant. And again, after that takes place, shortly thereafter comes the full extent of World War III, nuclear destruction. The Doomsday Clock is kept by a group of scientists and experts called the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. It includes experts on international relations, as well as scientists who study nuclear weapons, climate, and disease. For the past 2 years, scientists have kept the clock at 100 seconds to midnight. Hey, the real scientists out here, the people, the true experts who only you should be concerned with getting your opinions from, are the prophets of the Most High, the men of the Lord, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS. Because, hey, day in, day out, we've been putting up video epistles like this, as well as going out onto the highways and byways, preaching the words of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai in the scriptures, breaking down prophecy, been showing you that nuclear destruction is coming, been showing you that we're going towards a digital cashless society where people are going to be forced to be C-hip implanted. It's becoming self-evident that GMS is, and the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS, is the camp that Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai is dealing with, that his spirit's on, because you're seeing all these other camps out here starting to backpedal now that we're getting closer and closer to these prophecies, especially the mandatory implementation of the Charagma getting closer and closer. And the word science simply means to know, and the prophets do know everything according to the scriptures through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Rachel Bronson, president and CEO of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, explained that the clock's keepers had kept the clock so close to midnight for so long over the fear that Russia might invade Ukraine and raise nuclear tensions. In February 2022, weeks after our announcement, our fears were borne out, Bronson said during the presentation that set the clock at 90 seconds to midnight. Russia's thinly veiled threat to use nuclear weapons reminds the world that escalation of the conflict by accident, intention, or miscalculation is a terrible risk. And it's not a risk. It's not an accident. It's not a miscalculation. It's inevitable that these nuclear weapons will be used. The possibilities, the inevitability that the conflict could spin out of anyone's control remains high. And hey, these average people out here, these leaders of the world, have no control over anything. It's all through the will of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. As it says in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1, the king's heart or mind is in the hand of the Most High, and he moveth it whithersoever he will to fulfill prophecy. And also, as it says in Isaiah 55, verse 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, these prophecies being fulfilled. Now let's get into a few prophecies dealing with the nuclear destruction. This is 2 Peter's chapter 3, verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. And what's going to melt the elements with fervent heat and burn up the works in the earth? It's not volcanoes and it's not fireworks during New Year's or the 4th of July. It's from nuclear tipped ICBMs being shot to the ends of the earth. And those heavens passing away is the rulership of these heathens, chiefly these Edomites, because in the scriptures, heaven and hell can be symbolic for a condition. If you're in your heavens, you're in power, you're living deliciously, like these Edomites and these other heathens have been living. And when you're in your hell, like the children of Israel, you're second-class citizens, you're on the bottom, you're in captivity, living day by day. But once this devil, these Edomites, have truly reached those bounds which they cannot pass, and those nukes start flying, then there's going to be that role reversal. The children of Israel are going to be in their heavens, in the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Israel, and you heathens, hey, chiefly you Edomites, are going to be in your hell, serving 1,000 years of hardcore bondage and slavery, building up the kingdom of heaven. Read Jeremiah 30 verse 16 and Revelation chapter 13 verses 9 to 10. And after that first 1,000 years of the kingdom of heaven being built up, these other heathens are going to be allowed to go back to their lands and live in peace, though they're still going to be under the subjection of the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and under the subjection of the children of Israel. And if they get out of line, they're going to be dealt with accordingly. But as for you Edomites, every single Edomite man, woman, and child, young and old, is going to be gathered up and permanently cold from this planet by fire. Just read the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, around verse 18. And the scriptures gets even more graphic with this nuclear destruction. Real quick. This is Zechariah, chapter 14, verse 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. So this is talking about the children of Israel. Right now, the elect of the nation of Israel, who have come out of the ways of this world spiritually and have come back to their power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, calling on the names Yahweh wa Yahweh Shai. And all those people that have fought against the children of Israel are you heathen nations, chiefly you Edomites. As pursuant to Psalms chapter 83, you are at the head of the nations that came against the children of Israel, and the main place of affliction for the children of Israel, and the main place that's going to receive this nuclear destruction is America, which in the scriptures is known as Babylon the Great, that virgin daughter of Babylon, that whore, mystery Babylon, and also the wicked of our people, 2/3 in America who have come against the prophets. Hey, you're going to take part in this plague as well that's going to smite all those that came against, the children of Israel, chiefly the elect. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And what's going to cause people's flesh to come off their skeleton while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes and their tongue to consume away out of their mouth and out of their eye sockets, them getting burned up by that fervent heat, those nuclear missiles. And a perfect visualization of this is that dream sequence from Terminator 2 where Sarah Connor saw the nuclear destruction. She was literally standing upon her feet, grabbing on that chain link fence as she got burned up and hit by that blast from those nuclear missiles, and it literally ripped her skin off her bones, ripped her eyes out of her sockets and her tongue out of her mouth. Hey, these Hollywood movie makers, which we know are in these secret societies and rub shoulders with the elites, they get their ideas from the scriptures. But what's about to take place isn't going to be a Hollywood production. It's going to be a real-life production by Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and all you wicked people out there are going to be the actors and extras in it. Back in 2 Peter. Verse 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of the Most High. So if you're an Israelite in your right mind, in the right spirit, hey, you would be hastening for the mandatory implementation of the C-hip implant and hastening for this nuclear destruction to come, because once these nukes hit, that's it. Yahushua has made a second coming to save his elect. Hey, the kingdom of heaven is going to begin being established. No more work, no more looking at our people being at the bottom of society, no more adultery, sodomites, drug use, seeing these worthless heathens, chiefly these Edomites ruling over us, etc., etc. It's all over. And if you don't want anything but that, hey, you're going to be a part of those people that fought against Jerusalem that's going to take place in that plague of nuclear destruction, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt. with fervent heat. The Doomsday clock dealing with nuclear destruction is 90 seconds to midnight. According to Bronson, the decision to move the clock forward 10 seconds was largely, but not exclusively, because of the mounting dangers of the war in Ukraine. To say tensions are high is an understatement. Since it escalated its invasion in 2022, Russia has repeatedly threatened nuclear war with NATO. That's all a part of prophecy, because Russia is going to be one of the major players in World War III using these nuclear weapons. Former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Kremlin's Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, recently warned the world that a loss of Ukraine for Russia might mean nuclear war. Moscow has deployed new hypersonic nuclear-capable missiles, built a new super torpedo powered by a nuclear engine, and put its nuclear forces on high alert. And just recently, Russia said it's moving some of its nuclear-powered and nuclear-equipped submarines to the coasts of America. Again, Proverbs 21 verse 1. The heart or the mind of the king is in the hand of the Most High. He moveth it whithersoever he will. The Most High is getting all the players in place for this nuclear third world war to fulfill prophecy. Later this year, the members of the Group of Seven, G7, will meet in Hiroshima. It's a symbolic meeting because the Japanese city is one of the only places in the world to feel the devastating effects of nuclear war. And that was during what? The Second World War, which was also prophesied in the scriptures. And hey, it's fitting that the first country to use nuclear weapons on another country, the United States of America, is going to be the last country to be completely wiped off the face of the earth by nuclear weapons. The G7 was once the G8, but Russia was suspended from the group after its annexation of Crimea in 2014. Beatrice Finn, the executive director of the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, invoked the memory of Hiroshima in her statement about the Doomsday Clock. We have had enough of the Doomsday Clock warnings being followed by inaction, she told Motherboard in a statement. The leaders of the G7, all of whom either command nuclear arsenals or support the use of nuclear weapons, must seize the moment of their meeting in the first city to have been devastated by an atomic bomb at huge human cost to tell us how they will work with Russia and China to fulfill the commitment to disarm they have all made. Well, don't hold your breath, because these major nations aren't disarming, they're rearming, and all those nuclear missiles are going to be used during this third world war. That's it with this article. Now let's get back into these precepts. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe or destruction is past, referring to World War I. And behold, there come two woes more hereafter. World War II, which is past, and which saw the first ever use of nuclear weapons, beginning with those 2 atomic bombs dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and that third woe, World War III, which will also see the use of nukes. And the two main players in this upcoming third woe is going to be the United States of America and Russia. Russia is actually going to be the main nation that's going to lead these other nations into shooting their missiles onto the whore Babylon. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, the United States of America, an assembly of great nations from the north country being Russia, because what's north of the U.S.? Canada, that Arctic Ocean region, and then Russia. And I posted plenty of videos in the past showing that in that Arctic Ocean region, Russia has been building back up its military presence, nuclear capable, and it's also a well-known fact that Russia shooting missiles from itself across the north and from its assets in that Arctic Ocean region in the north to reach its targets in the United States of America would be the shortest trajectory time for those missiles to reach the U.S. And they shall set themselves in array against her, and that assembly of great nations from the north country are not just Russia's allies, such as China, Iran, North Korea, but also the allies of the U.S., which at some point during World War III are going to turn against her and ally themselves with the North country, Russia. Just read Revelation chapter 17, verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. The 10 horns being the EU, or European Union, beginning with the first 10 common markets of the EU, back when it was known as the European Economic Community, and the beast being NATO. These shall hate the whore that rides upon the beast, the United States of America, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, nuclear fire. And we can see that this whole situation in Ukraine is really driving a wedge between the U.S. and her European NATO allies. Hey, it's been Europe that's had to deal with the brunt of the energy crisis due to Russia not sending out its energy because those nations are putting sanctions and sending weapons to Ukraine to fight against them. And while you've seen a lot of lip service in the news with certain countries saying they're sending weapons to help Ukraine, and when you really dig deep, you'll see that a lot of them are dragging their feet on it and don't really want to do it. And some are even pulling back on their commitments because they know what that means. Hey, a direct target from Russia. So you can only bully somebody so long before they turn around and pop you in the fucking face, which is what America's European allies are going to do to her in the end. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And those arrows are symbolic for those nuclear missiles, because what do missiles look like when they're flying in the sky? Arrows. And what you have to remember is that when the prophets saw these visions thousands of years ago, they weren't going to say a Satan II, a Zircon hypersonic missile, or anything like that. They had to describe these prophecies the best way they could with what they knew during their times, ancient weapons of war, like bows and arrows, spears, flying swords, javelins, etc., etc. And while nuclear missiles are going to be shot to the ends of the earth, like I said at the beginning of the video, hey, many people are going to survive because they're going to be the first fruits of slavery in the kingdom of heaven. But as for everyone, Israelites included, that aren't of the elect of the nation of Israel in Babylon, the United States of America, hey, you're going to be wiped off the map. And the United States of America as a whole is going to be wiped off the face of the earth. Now I'm going to close it out in Isaiah chapter 13, verses 17 to 22. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. And this isn't talking about the ancient Medes who were a Japhetic people. This is talking about the modern day spiritual Medes, that North country, Russia. And it's beautiful because that land of Russia was originally inhabited by Japhetic people, but now who's it inhabited by? Russian Edomites. And besides being known as the spiritual Medes and the North country in Jeremiah 50 verse 9, Russia is also known as Gog in Ezekiel chapter 38, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. When it comes time for these Medes, these Russian Edomites, to turn those keys and shoot those nukes, no US dollars, CBDCs, peace talks, nuclear weapons treaties, or nuclear weapons bans are going to keep them from shooting those nuclear missiles. Again, the king's heart is in the mind of the Most High. He moveth it whithersoever he will to fulfill prophecy. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And those bows are symbolic for the launch platforms and silos that those nuclear missiles are going to be fired from. Because what do bows shoot? Arrows. And like I just said, if you are not of the elect of the nation of Israel in Babylon or America, when these nukes hit, it doesn't matter whether you're young, old, man, woman, whore, virgin, anything, you're going to be more fuel for the nuclear fire. And Babylon, the United States of America, the glory of kingdoms, The beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And besides being known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures, the United States is also known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8. And it should be very easy to see why the U.S. is known as spiritual Sodom. This is the number 1 country that pushes the alphabet lifestyle, beginning with LG, onto the rest of the planet. Just look up a movie called, what was that movie called? I can't even remember, but it was some sodomite movie that came out during the summer, dealing with 2 Edomite men getting together and having a relationship, and it bombed at the box office. And then they had a Disney movie, I think it was called Strange World, which had a alphabet boy in it, a teenage boy having a relationship with another alphabet male. Madness. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their folds there. And as the Most High overthrew ancient Sodom and Gomorrah with fire and brimstone from the sky, he's going to overthrow this modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah with modern fire and brimstone. 200 million nuclear missiles. We're just going to turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards, where man, woman, or child will never set foot on from generation to generation ever again. And we know this isn't talking about ancient Babylon, which is in modern-day Iraq, because you've still got people dwelling there to this very day. And when the Medo-Persian Empire took down the Neo-Babylonian Empire, they didn't burn it down with fire. It was a surgical strike to take out the king of Babylon. And after a time, only desert creatures are going to dwell in this place that's been turned into a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland, a giant desert that's going to make the Sahara Desert blush. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces, and her time is near to come, her days shall not be prolonged. Remember, the Most High has set up those bounds which he cannot pass, and even though this isn't the end-all be-all, hey, it's a nice little visualization that the Most High put on the minds of these heathens to create. The Doomsday clock, which includes nuclear destruction, has been moved 90 seconds to midnight. Her time is near to come, and her days are no longer being prolonged. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. As we can clearly see, we're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, primarily from this whore, Babylon, America. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.